we're just gonna go into 2 different back takes. I'm gonna slide my knee behind her head, fall to my right hip, bring this leg over, step it over her hips here, and then I'm gonna go hard to my left hip. I'm gonna push away with my right knee, I stay glued, and I rock over to the opposite side right here. I wanna pull her up a little bit so that we're about equal height with the tops of our heads here. I've got my tight seatbelt grip still. Now from here, you can body triangle. You can go into just getting your regular hooks. That's gonna be what gets you points in a tournament. In case you're worried about that, you can get some sort of other angle right here. The top hook is not super important. The bottom hook is what's going to be the most important. She turns away here. I'm gonna get that seatbelt grip. As soon as she brings her hips just a little bit into the air, the window's not gonna last forever. So sliding like a baseball slide onto my right hip, get this hook all the way in super deep. I hook, and then getting that second leg in right there. Again, both of those, my chest just glued to her shoulder blade like a magnet the whole time. And just one thing really quick on the seatbelt grip, try not to be like hunched over getting a seatbelt grip like this. Try to be, boom, like this with your seatbelt grip. So the difference is my chest is pushing forward, my elbows are pulling back, elbows and shoulders are pulling back right here, rather than this, where it's gonna be a lot easier for her to make space and to wiggle around in there. It's gonna take a lot more arm strength to hold her in place. Whereas, boom, I just hold like this. I don't really need very strong arms at all, and I can just hold her like it'll feel like a concrete grip basically, with very little effort on my part, just holding like that with that seatbelt grip. So keep that in mind as far as how you're gripping. Let's do just like a couple minutes practicing just like this, because it's really good to just not have to worry about the mat being in our way in either direction. We're gonna go over that. Just the finishing mechanics. If you were here last couple of weeks, we're trapping the arm with our leg. Don't worry, we're still gonna do that. That all still works. Sometimes this is just what we're gonna do anytime we can get our arm under that chin and start attacking their neck. That could be right as we're taking their back, right after we take their back, could be 3 minutes after having their back. At any point, if we can get a free choking arm and get under that chin, boom, we can start finishing it. 1 arm or 2 arm choke. One more time here. Finish 1. Finish 2 right there. Practice it just with your partner sitting upright for right now, and then again, just a couple minutes. And then we'll get practice more realistically with choking arm on bottom and choking arm on top. Some little adjustments to make when you've got the mat on either side. Let's do it. 1, 2. So now we're gonna actually have our hooks though, and we'll fall to either side. We're gonna show both sides. So right here, the reason why it's a little different on each side is because this mat is kind of like a big wall that's blocking one of the sides. So it's either blocking my choking arm side, or in this case, my assisting arm side. So from here, again, we're not getting super fancy into trapping the arms yet. We'll get into that. We'll review the straight jacket and everything in a second. But for right now, let's also just add this assisting hand, grabbing not just his wrist, but his hand with all 5 of my fingers here around his hand, and then I'm extending, I'm revving that motorcycle, and then I'll even pull it in a little bit right here. So that kind of flares his elbow out a little bit as well. So if I keep it, if I allow his elbow to stay in, then it's kind of hard to keep that grip, but I come here, and now it's gonna at least take some work, take some focus for him to get that hand back, and if he does, I can just go right back to it. So now from here, again, my choking arm's on the top side, my head's gonna stay below his head on the opposite side. All I'm gonna do is bring my thumb here. Right now, we're not worried too much about him defending with this hand. Again, we'll get into that next here. So I'm just gonna bring my thumb line, and this can happen live even against good guys, so it's not like you're just catching them distracted with this arm, or you just catch them with this arm briefly open and their chin briefly up for a second, and you can start going for the neck at any point here. It's more of opportunistically, I would say, but we're gonna go more systematically next, trapping the arm. So for right now, I'm gonna bring the thumb line right to the jawline, and then I come all the way through and I try to get all the way to the shoulder blade. And then I bring my thumb right over. I can finish it as a 1-arm finish right here, or I can take this arm out. The problem is the mat is kind of in the way to go as easily behind his head as I might like. Now it's still possible that I can go right into it. That's totally fine. If you can get a good grip on his shoulder blade, to be honest, you can actually extend away, go forearm behind his head, and then bring that bicep to your hand right there and get the finish right there. I'll just say this, I usually on this side go for the 1-arm finish, just because this arm is jammed up a bit with the mat on this side. Sometimes I can pull the guy to face so we're facing more upright, and then that'll free that arm up, or they do that themselves. They kind of try to drive to the other side. Exactly. And then you can start going for the full rear naked choke. You have some more space. So sometimes that'll happen. But again, this particular case is why I like to have a legit one arm choke in my arsenal, so that I can finish from here without even needing to move this arm. I'll just keep it as an assisting hand right here. Keep it just flaring his arm out. One arm finish right here. So now we've got choking arm on bottom now. So from here, we're gonna do the same thing, hand grip. The nice thing about this, so obviously now there's no mat space on my left side, my assisting side, but now it can be kind of jammed up to get my right arm under his chin as effectively. So what I like to do is grab this hand grip and flare it out so that actually I can kind of separate myself from him, and it's not super easy for him to use that space against me to turn into me. If he tries to turn into me or turn away from me, I can actually control a lot of his body with this hand grip. I flare his elbow out, I extend my wrist and his wrist, so it's almost like he's getting a little bit wrist locked. If you're here last week, we went into just using this as a submission as well. You can pull it all the way behind his back as a submission. We're not worried too much about that right now, but we're just going to use this as as more of a body control here, so I can lean back and bring my thumb right to the jawline and then shoot through. Chin comes over my wrist, and I can finish it one arm also, but you've got so much empty space to work with, it's very easy to bring the second hand in and finish right there. So again, we're right here. If I don't control his other arm and I just lean back, then it gets a little chaotic of him being able to turn into me or get his back to the mat or all sorts of stuff. Exactly, it's usually gonna be his back to the mat. But if I have that assisting hand with my top hand torqued out, boom, now it's actually pretty hard for him to immediately take advantage of that space that I just created, and I can start going into a full rear naked choke. So again, one more time, getting comfortable with this grip is really the key on this one. Finish one arm also is totally fine here, but that second arm is just, there's nothing stopping it. Boom. So now from here, I'm gonna go assisting hand, always a good first step. And now from here, if I need to, I can start, or if I want to, I can start getting that diagonal angle. I don't need it yet until I'm ready to trap his arm. I'm gonna come through here, I try to attack his neck. It's like a brick wall, I can't even get to his neck here. I'm gonna grab the wrist, push it down, pass it off to the other hand, go back to his neck. He's defending, no worries. At any point, if he's not defending, he's sleeping for some reason, I need to start getting right to the neck and finishing right there. But he's defending well, perfect. I'm gonna grab that wrist. Now I've got opposite wrist control. Opposite wrist control, make sure you get that diagonal angle, and I'm gonna push down, come over. You might even loop it through, so you can fully loop if you want. But I just need to get my heel to his ribs, and then I can let go if I want to. Now from here, I can cross my ankles, come back. This one I'll do with crossing the ankles. Feels pretty strong. I can, of course, bring my foot behind his back as well. Now from here, I make sure we're close to the same height, ear to ear, and I can start weaseling my way through, sometimes sawing. If you feel like they're really good at tucking, especially this shoulder, shrugging this shoulder and tucking their chin, it might feel like there's no neck here at all. No worries. Send the thumb in to do some burrowing, and then you can get under. And once you get to that shoulder blade, get your chin over the top, and then you can finish again. One arm finish is going to be really good for this one because again, we're choking arm on top, and a lot of times there's a lot of weight on that assisting hand. So if you can get a good one arm choke in your arsenal, this is going to be a great time to use it. Any questions on the straight jacket? So that just means we've got opposite wrists control that allows for a very easy trap with your leg. Cross the ankles or tight it behind their back. It's a little bit of preference, a little bit on body types as well, which of those is going to be best. It's good to practice both. Basically, it's just a handful of steps to get both of their arms trapped, and you still have one free hand to battle their chin and their shoulder. Any questions on that? Let's do it. 1, 2.